Alright, so now an assignment. This assignment will challenge many. Students hate this assignment. I don't mean it to be so bad, but really I learned so much from doing this. So you are to do some texture studies. Okay. So add mesh plane. Okay, got a plane. You go into multi-resolution, and then you go to linear and set it to 10. Okay, you're capped off at 10. And then apply that. Oops. We're up to 11. There we go. Okay, so there we go. We now have a plane that could support a lot of detail. And you're kind of locked to that resolution. You don't need to scale it up or anything, but what good texture is, it has like 3 stages. There is like the deep cracks, the really deep, very cracky crevices type. There's a surface layer and there's a mid. So if you can get all 3 of those, all textures look good. So I'll demonstrate a little bit on what this looks like. Okay, the first stage is to, you can have something in mind for the texture or look up reference, but I'll give you a demonstration of just winging it. Okay, so the first layer could be this. Okay, I'm just going to go like that, that. And you would do this off the entire area. Put forms next to forms. Try to get it more randomly. Okay, you get the idea, I think. You can see that one got a little too high, but every once in a while I might introduce that same concept over here. Boom. Okay, so the next stage, what happens? Well, this is just my mid texture. It's kind of a groundwork for anything else. So now I could go in and pinch if I wanted to. And this would pull together some of these forms. Alright, so there I've added a lot more detail in these cracks and crevices. I've also introduced some of this stuff right here, so I want to get rid of that and smooth it as possible. So anything faceted you might want to get rid of. Alright, so now that is my base. So now I can zoom in. Okay, I can do this 2 different ways. I can use a texture, or I can just, start making the texture. And I don't have to keep using the same thing over and over again either. I can probably use like clay strips if I wanted to. Alright, once you get to the point where you can do that, zoom out. And you're left with some crazy amount of detail because there's no such thing as like scale. You can just zoom in, add more detail, zoom out. And if you add even more polygons, you could see where there would be no limit. I'll just generally go and kind of fix it up with the pinch tool. Very cool. And of course, you don't do that for the next one. You totally change it up. You can even do layers. But you can see, like these, get out of hand. And the level of detail for these isn't as good as this. That texture right there will come out quite well, where this one's kind of like, eh. I would say this is a good base still. It doesn't have enough detail. Better. Alright, so that's it. Those are texture studies. And I want 3 filled ones. Okay. Here's some examples. Tree bark, rocks, gravel pit. You could go foliage on the ground. You could go lizard skin. Okay. Scales. There's a plethora of them. I just want 3 filled squares going across here. And that's your assignment. Enjoy. Alright, so once you are done with your study, you basically make a duplicate copy of it, put it next to it, and decimate this one. Okay? So you can see the difference between the decimated and the decimated version versus the undecimated version. Where this one, if you zoom in, you got only the detail in the areas it needs to be, and then all the rest is done. Where this one has millions of polys. Okay, so that's the idea. Is for each one of your studies to have a duplicate of it. Shift D to duplicate. Boom. And I showed you how to duplicate or how to decimate in the videos. So if you are unsure about how to decimate, just check the videos. Alright, so have the 3 sets next to each other when you turn in the scene. You can just turn in a standard Blender scene, just save as, make sure it's a Blender. If you're turning in your work. If you're on the internet, good luck. Alright, have a good one. See you in the next chapter.